So welcome again to the sourcing VILT. For those of you who do not know what that stands for, it stands for virtual instructor-led training. It is the second part of your two-part training for the new EVA platform. That first part was your self-paced training in the LMS, and hopefully you will get something out of today's session, whether it be the ability to have a little bit of a recap of those key points in your self-paced training or the demo, or if you are looking forward to the question and answer session. So let's go to the next slide, please. And then I promise after I go over these, I will be quiet and hand it back over to our awesome co-trainers. And then you won't have to hear from me again until the very end. So just a couple Zoom reminders this morning. First, today's session is a webinar. What does that mean? It means that your cameras are turned off and that you are muted, and you won't be able to change either one of those things. That's not because we don't want to hear from you or see your lovely faces. It's really to make sure that we minimize any unwanted interruptions. If you're anything like me, you have left yourself unmuted before by accident, and it can be embarrassing, so you don't have to worry about that today. You get to just sit back, relax, enjoy, and hopefully learn something. There are still two ways that you can interact with us today. The first one is the chat feature, which you all have been using beautifully as you join today's session to say good morning. There's also going to be a couple times during today's presentation where we ask you to provide some feedback, and that chat box is where you are going to want to do that. If you have questions at any time during today's session, please, please, please make sure that you put them in the question and answer box, because we want to make sure that they are captured and that we get to them during the Q&A. And if we don't, if we run out of time, which can happen because the sourcing topic is a big one, right? Because it's the most complicated of anything that we're going to go over. That way we can make sure that we get back to you with answers to any questions we might not get to. Finally, something that is not on this slide, but I do want to go over. Some of you have what's known as a Zoom alias. It's an alphanumeric code that Zoom assigns to you when you join the webinar if you don't enter your name. You may or may not know that you have a Zoom alias as your display name. The only way you see your display name is if you put something in the chat or ask a question, but I can see who has those Zoom aliases. So I will be sending you individual messages, not to the whole group. So don't worry about that, just asking for your full name, and then I will take the opportunity to rename you. The reason I'm doing that is because I want to make sure that you are counted as having attended today's session. And that's how we can do that, because I don't know who you are if it's a Zoom alias. But don't worry, I should be able to get around to everybody that has one of those and get you renamed so we can make sure your attendance is counted. So that is it for me for right now. So without any further ado, I will pass it over to my amazing co-trainers for today and your amazing co-trainers, Felicia and Tracy. Take it away, ladies.
Hi, good morning. My name is Felicia Bagby. I am a procurement management account executive policy in the Policy and Consulting and Review Bureau with the Department of Purchasing and Supply. I have been in procurement now for about 20 years. I was one of the first users of the current EVA system, and I am so excited to be, on board for the rolling out of the new and approved EVA system on November the 1st.
Good morning, I'm Tracy Robinson. I'm your sourcing and contracting support manager, and I assist you with current EVA, and I will also be assisting you with new sourcing and contracting once we roll out on November 1st. I've been with EVA since 2003, and I started with EVA vendor support, and then moved over to sourcing and contracting. All right.
Okay. We would like to start off today's session with a few poll questions. The first question is, which of these describes your role in EVA? You can pick as many selections, make as many selections as you would like. Every time I do a training, I always try to shoot for 100% participation. So I know it's early in the morning, but let's get charged up and push that button. We will give you about 30 seconds to respond to this question. You know, again, I would like 100% participation. So in the first 10 seconds, I wanted to be at least at 90. It helps us to know who is in our audience today.
We are at 94%. There's only one responder we're waiting on, but that's pretty close to 100. You got it, Felicia.
All right.
And share the results for you. 100%.
Yes.
All right, we got a mixture. Look like we got a mixture today.
Okay, yes, I am glad. You see that we had the right people on here. Tracy and Sarah, their solicitation issuers on there. That's 84%. Yep. We have the quick quote users, 53%. Managers, this is very good, you know, for you to know the processes that your buyers are going through in order to place orders. And then we have other. Okay, so let me close that out and go to the next slide. The second poll question that we have is, what is your confidence level for this topic? There is no right or wrong answer. We would like to see how confident you feel going into this session. And we hope you will come out of this session with more confidence. Again, we're going to give you another 30 seconds to respond. I'm looking for 100% again. Let me know, what is your confidence level?
Let's see if we can do it 2 times.
You did it again.
All right.
100%.
They ready to go this morning.
Okay, yeah, medium is great. And we're hoping, okay, we have 74% that is at medium confident level. And that's great. We have 26% that's at a low confidence level. And I'm praying and hoping that at the end of this demo that Tracy is going to give you, and let me tell you, Tracy is the sourcing guru when it comes to demos. At the end of this demo, I'm hoping that we can see 0 in the low, but I can always keep my fingers crossed, you know, have something to look forward to. So thank you so much for letting us know that. But finally, we would like to know, how can we make today's session most valuable to you? Because that is very important to Sarah, Tracy, and I. You know, we want to make sure that you're getting something from this session that we're having. What do you hope to take away from this session? And we're just asking you to write that in the chat. In Zoom, write that in the chat. You know, for example, some people may say, I want to gain more knowledge. Some people may say, you know, I've been practicing it on my own, but I actually want to see a demo to make sure that what I've been doing is the right way. So, yeah, just how about you? Remember to set the message to everyone when you put it in the chat so that we can all see your responses. Again, I'm gonna give you about 30 seconds so that you can respond.
We got you, Jennifer.
Tracy, could you say what's in the chat? I'm gonna try to change. I gotta change something.
So they want to see a demo to gain more knowledge and increase the confidence level, to see all the way through, to get more knowledge for my job duties, demoing, better understanding of the new system. Demo will help.
That's great.
Confidence level.
That is great.
Yep. So if everybody wants to see a demo and to increase their confidence level in using the tool.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you the demo. Right. Yes. Okay. And this session, this is going to be the session agenda for today. First, we will do a quick recap of your self-paced training. Then we will conduct a live demo. Tracy is going to do that. After that, we will take your questions. Then we will discuss the next steps. Sarah will, discuss the next steps with you all. And this session will not run longer than an hour. Okay. Here are the topics we will cover in our recap. These topics should look very familiar to you from the self-paced training. We will quickly review the most important concepts that will help you use the system effectively. This will include the sourcing project layers, how to create a sourcing project, how to prepare an RFX, and creating an unsealed bid. Sourcing projects in this new platform have 3 separate layers. The first layer is the project type. There are 3 options for the project type. You have small purchase, competitive sealed bidding, and proposal, or a notice only. The second layer is the RFX type. If you choose small purchase as a project type, you will have 2 options for the RFX type, and those options are unsealed bid or unsealed proposal. If you choose competitive sealed bid or proposal as a project type, you will have 3 options for the RFX type, and those are the sealed bid, sealed proposal, future procurement. If you choose notice only as a project type, you will have 2 options for the RFX type, and that is government to government and future procurement. The most granular level is the opportunity type. The options for this change depending on what you selected on the 2, and that will depend on what you selected on the 2 previous levels. Now let's discuss high-level process for creating a sourcing project. First, you will need to identify the 3 levels of your sourcing project as a reminder from the previous slide. They will include sourcing project type, RFX type, opportunity type. Next, you will need to add information to your sourcing project, including whatever your commodities are, your team members, and any documents that you would like to attach. Then you will prepare the RFX. We will discuss this in more detail on the next slide. You also have the ability to amend and cancel if needed. So now let's take a closer look at the steps to prepare an RFX. Step 1, you will create the RFX. These steps include the important task of selecting an RFX type. This decision sets the stage for what project steps will be available to you. The type of RFX you select affects what option tabs will be visible to you. In step 2, you will provide the RFX details. After saving, it's very, very, very important to make sure you do your saving. I save a lot when I'm working on, my sourcing projects. The RFX additional tabs will unlock based on your selection. You'll be required to enter details in the 3 tabs. Some of the details are completing the item description, adding documentation, and confirming any invited suppliers. Now, your invited suppliers will be based on the commodity code that you put in. In step 3, you're going to prepare for supplier responses. After you have provided the required RFX details, you can begin preparing to receive supplier responses to your RFX. And step 4, you will publish the RFX. When an RFX is published, it will be posted publicly. Notifications will go out to the suppliers, again, like I said previously, based on the commodity codes that you selected. There are 2 ways to create an unsealed bid. So creating an unsealed bid or solicitation for an unsealed bid, you can create it from a requisition. Then you can also create an unsealed bid from the sourcing tab. The steps to create an unsealed bid are similar to the steps to create a sealed bid or proposal. The only difference is you do not need to provide as many details for the unsealed bid. Here's a quick question to get us in the right mindset before we dive into this demo. Where would you go to prepare the RFX from this screen right here? Please write your answers in the chat box. I am waiting.
It should look familiar to you from the
Yes,
training.
yes, from the pathway trainings that you, and I also said it previously too. Where would you click to prepare an RFX from this screen? I will give you a hint. It's on the left-hand side. We just need some people to come in here.
I'm seeing some right answers.
Okay, you seeing some right ones?
Yeah.
Okay.
All righty.
That's very well. That's very good.
Yep. Prepare RFX tab, correct.
Yep, that's correct. You will prepare, and you can't see my mouse, but I'm pointing over here to prepare the RF tab. Okay. Thank you for allowing me to give you this demonstration, but we will do the following. Tracy is going to do the following in the actual live demonstration that she's going to give you. She's going to create a sealed bid. She's going to add team members, add documents, prepare the RFX, and publish the RFX. While we will not have time to go over unsealed bids, evaluating the supplier responses, or starting a sourcing project from a requisition, there are guides for all of these topics on the training website. Again, Tracy's information and my information was displayed on the screen at the beginning of this session. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Okay, Tracy, are you ready?
Yes, I'm starting to share my screen. Hopefully you're able to see my screen.
Yes.
All righty. So this is the sourcing page. So let me just go over a few things on the sourcing page here. So we have here our left-hand navigation and some search filters. So you can search using the organization. If you needed to search, you can use that feature here. So let me click the drop down here. So I'm only listed and only have access to one organization. But if you have access to view more, it'll be in your listing here. You can also search under the contact. So if you know who that contact person is to create that solicitation, you could search using that. Also, we have the supplier search here. You know the supplier that you use on the solicitation. You could search using that. If you favorite a supplier, you can check the box here to be able to search for a favorite supplier. And I'll show you how to favorite a supplier once we get into the project, creating the project. If you have a solicitation that's in current EVA and you converted it over to the new platform, it will be the solicitation number that's in current EVA. You'll be able to search for it here. And also you can search for the solicitation ID number in this field. Across the top, we have some more search filters. So if you would like to search for the keyword, so you can do that here, searching for the keyword and the label. Search by the commodity code. You could do that here. If you needed to see more, you can click the see all, and it is type ahead functionality. If you know the project type, you can search based off the project type. And the status, so this is the status of the project, not of the solicitation, but the status of the project. All right, you can search using that filter. And of course, the reset button clears out of all your searches, your preset searches. The limit to my scope checkbox here, this allows you to see the solicitations that you've created or the solicitations that you are set as an internal team member on. So we have the label of our project, the code, so the BPM number. So this is the project code, not the solicitation number. And then the type of solicitation it was, the organization, the commodity code that was used. And this is the status of the project. So not the status, but the date, the date that the project was created. And here are some sourcing shortcut steps. These allow you to drill directly into the project or the different tabs within the project. Okay. If I wanted to just go into this project here and just to upload some documents, I could simply click on the documents tab here and it'll just drive me into that project and that document. It's getting a little laggy. Let's see. Right. And those are our shortcut. And like I said, it just easily navigates you to the area that you're trying to get to. Here we have the duplicate project button. So if I wanted to duplicate one of these projects here, I could click the duplicate project button. And then here I would look for the project that I want to duplicate. Right. If I didn't see it in the preset list here, I can click the see all button and that would show me a list of additional list of projects that I could copy. So once I select the project that I want to copy, the system automatically puts the radio head and allows you to copy over everything that was on that project. If I didn't want to copy a certain tab, I would simply put the radio head in the field that I didn't want to copy. But I want to copy all of these, so I would just leave this pre-populated and then I would click the copy and close button. I'm not going to copy that one. There are also two ways to create a solicitation. You can click on the create sourcing project button, or you can click the create project button here. All right, so we'll go ahead and click this one. All right, here we have the start of creating our project. So everything that has the red asterisk is required. All right, we'll put a label in. I'm going to copy my label because I need it later. Next, we'll put the project type in. All right, so we're going to do a quick quote. So we're going to select small purchase. We're going to list up, well, the status is the status of the project, not the solicitation, right? So that's already populated for us. Next, we'll put in the main organization. So I'm only listed as one, I'm only listed under one. So you would need to select that from the drop down. It's not pre-populated for you. And then we'll put in our main commodity is type ahead functionality. If you didn't know the commodity code, you could type the name in. So the main commodity code, and you only can type one in this field. If you have additionals you need to list, you could type those here. Right. So the commodity code is a required field on the project. It is not a required field on the solicitation. So if I'm creating my solicitation and I'm putting in my line item, so I put my line item in for crushed stone, And then I put my line item in for sand and sandbags. Okay, and then I decide that I need to do an additional line item. And the line item, the commodity code is not listed here or here. The suppliers will not be pulled over to the supplier tab to be notified of that third additional line item. You would have to come back to the other commodities column here and put that additional commodity code in order to have those suppliers pulled over to the supplier tab. So the project start date, the system defaulted to the date that the project was created. So we clicked the create project button a few minutes ago. So it put today's date in. It's an editable field. You can edit it to whatever date you start your project. All right. And then we also have the converted solicitation reference number field here. And this is, again, if you have a solicitation that's in current EVA and you are converting it over to the new EVA platform, it'll have that solicitation number here. All right, so we've filled out everything on this page here, so we can click the save button. As you can see, that unlocked other tabs to the left here. Right. So next we have our team member tab. Now we're showing you how to add an additional team member. This step is not required. This is just how you would add a team member. All right. So what we're going to do is search for the team member that we want to add. So we've searched for the team member and we've loaded it to our team members tab. So if I wanted, it automatically loads Felicia in as a SMED. So a SMED only has read-only access. They will not be able to make any updates to this solicitation or project as we have it right now. So what we want to do is I want to add Felicia as a contributor. So I'll go ahead and pick her as a contributor. So you would have to, you always have to have something in this field. So I would have to add the new profile type and then remove the one that was already set. All right. So I'm gonna click the save button. All right, so that added her as a contributor. So she could, if I'm in my absence, she could come in and load documents and continue to work on this solicitation while I'm away. All right, next we want to click on the documents tab. This allows you to add documents right now on the project level. So just think about, you want to add documents to your project, your procurement folder. So it's the same thing. So we want to come down here to the sourcing project documents and click on the create documents tab. And then we're gonna, under the title column, name our document. So the documentation is required. The summary is not. I just like to paste, to repeat my documentation name down there. So the status is approved. We have approval flows set up in place in case you want to have approvals for your documents. I don't require any approvals, so it's set to approve. This is a new feature that we have with the new EVA, is the drop and drag functionality. So if you have your file on hand, you could just drag it and drop it right here. Right. So we'll go ahead and look for our file. Right, now pulled our file over. So we'll click the save and close button. Right, and that attached our document to the project, not to the solicitation, So I didn't say that I wanted to publicly post it. I just wanted to add it to the project or inside the procurement folder. If you want to reference something to reference it to. All right, so next we'll click on the supplier. Right, and this, like I said, this is not a required step. This is just an additional step if you need to add an additional supplier. So what you want to do here is to click the drop down and click the See All. All right, let me make this bigger. So the system automatically put in the commodity code because that's what we put on the main commodity field. So what you want to do is click the X to remove it. And you can click the search. And that'll bring up a list of all suppliers. All right. You also have the key filters at the top. So you have the keyword. If you know a keyword, like the supplier's name, you can put it in. If you needed to search under the commodity code, you could search under the commodity code. We also have some advanced search filters over here on the left-hand side. If you know any of this information here, you could search for that supplier using any of the information that you have handy here. I'm going to search for my supplier using the keyword. All right. So here's my supplier here. I already have her favorited, but if I wanted to favorite her, all I would need to do is to put the, to fill in the star. So that's how you would favorite a supplier. So here is my supplier here. What I need to do is click the checkbox right here. All right. And then I want to click the close button. All right. So that pulled our supplier over onto the list here. We can't see them just yet. So this is a very important step. After you pull the supplier over, you want to click the save button. All right. And then you want to verify that you see the supplier on the list. And here she is. Right. Also, if you needed to extract the list of suppliers, you can do that by clicking on the extract supplier list button. Next, we'll navigate to the Prepare RFX tab, where we'll start to get prepped on preparing our solicitation. Right. So we have the Setup tab, where we have some information that we need to fill out. So the RFX setting section. Right. So we have the RFX ID. So this will populate once we click the save button. We have the RFX name. So this came over once we filled out our project. We have the RFX type. We'll list that. We're doing a quick quote, so it's going to be an unsealed bid. We'll list in our procurement transaction type. Use supplies, non-technology. Right. Our opportunity type is going to be a quick quote. We also have the field here for the set aside. So if you wanted to identify a set aside as a micro or small, you have the option to do that here. You just check the one that applies. We have our summary field. Pop in our summary, list the work location. We also have the option to list a web address. If I needed to mark this solicitation as high risk, I would do that here. Checking this box here. If I needed to make it so it's paper responses only, I would check the box here. If I was posting for an external entity, I would check this box here, and then other additional fields would unlock, and you would simply put in your entity's name, the buyer's name, buyer's email, and the buyer's phone number, and that information will post publicly. Here we have the version, some information on the solicitation. So the lot. So in current EVA, so this is kind of different terminology. So in current EVA, you have a lot, and then you have lines within a lot. In new EVA, the lot means the solicitation number. So think of it as in current EVA, you have your procurement folder, and then you could issue multiple solicitations inside your procurement folder. Same thing with new EVA. So you have your project, and then you can issue multiple solicitations inside of your project. So this is our first solicitation inside of this procurement, inside of this project. The round is the version number. So we are on the original version around, so it's 0. If I needed to amend this after I submit it, then the round would increase by 1, so it'll be 1. Right. We have the RFX status, so it's in draft now because I haven't submitted it. Right. Next, we have some advanced options. So this allows you to set up your solicitation based on how you want to set it up. We have some of the fields automatically default for you. So that's some advanced options that we have. And then we have the external solicitation information. If you integrate into EVA, then it would have your and I'll give VDOT and Cardinal as an example. So VDOT and Cardinal import their solicitations into EVA. So this would list Cardinal's solicitation ID, and then the Cardinal solicitation version, the Cardinal solicitation type, whether it's IFB or RFP. And then we also have the converted solicitation reference ID field here. So again, if you were converting into EVA, it will list that solicitation number here. Next, we have the post to VBO section here. So the begin date and time. So this is a little different from current EVA. So we no longer offer the option to set a future publish date. So once you submit your solicitation, the system would automatically add that time and date to this field right here. All right. Then we have the end date. We'll set our end date. And add an end time. Right. And here we have the public opening and pre-bid conference section. So we have the drop down, so you can identify if you're going to have a public opening or a pre-bid conference. As you'll see, we no longer have the option to add a time and date. But if you wanted to list that information, you could do so through an attachment. Right. So we'll go ahead and click the save button. So as you can see, that unlocked additional tabs across the top. And it also set our solicitation ID number. So we'll click the items tab. We'll also, we have some information on our solicitation. So this is lot 1, because this is the first solicitation that's in our project. The round is 0. This is the initial solicitation. Our label, it gives us our label. And then this is the status of the solicitation. So we'll click the items tab. All right. And you could put in your item by clicking on the pencil to edit the lines. So that's an option. I think the QRGs have you doing it this way, and it's fine to do it that way. I'm sorry, I clicked the save and close button. I like to enter them in just off of this page. So the system gives you a code. It automatically defaults the code. So this is the line item number. Everything that has the V in parentheses is what the vendor will see on the response. So we'll scroll over here and put in our label. This is a fairly new field. It's the detailed description field. So if you needed to write a detailed description on the commodity or the item that you're soliciting, you can do that here. I'm just going to copy my label in again. Here you would list the commodity code. Again, this is not required. If you know it, you can list it. The better information you can give the users, the better. Our quantity, you want to list your quantity. Then we're going to list our unit. Our delivery day. Right. If you would like to list the reference price and the target price, you don't have to. Again, anything that has the V is what the vendor will see, the supplier will see. The external lot ID and external line ID, if you were doing integration into EVA, this would be the lot ID of your system and the line ID of your system. So we've filled in everything that we needed to fill in on this page. So we'll click the save. And as you can see that it gave us an additional line, even though the fields have the red asterisk, it's not required unless you type something in one of these fields. Right? So if you get an error message when you try to save it, just look and make sure that nothing is typed inside of one of these fields. So if I needed to delete this line, I could do it by clicking on the trash can here, or I have some additional options here. So I click on the actions drop down. If I wanted to add another line item, I could do that by clicking the add item button here. If I wanted to delete an item, we'll delete all items, I'm sorry. If I needed to change the grid setting. So maybe I need to change the name of my grid. I don't want it to say response. So I would click on the grid settings. And under grid name, I could change the name of my grid. And then I click the save and close button. That updated the name of our grid. So in current EVA, a lot is a grid in new EVA. On current EVA, you have lots and then you have lines within your lots. In new EVA, you have grids, and then you have lines within your grids. So this is one grid. If I needed to add a grid, I could do that here. If I needed to export, maybe I wanted to work on my line items outside of EVA and I wasn't ready to load them here. So what I would do is I would come here and I would export the grid format. And then I would work on that outside of the system. And then once I'm ready to come in and list my line items, I would import that grid. So I'm gonna click the save button again. And I'm going to navigate to the publicly posted documents tab. Right. So here is where I would identify the documents that I want publicly posted. Right. So I've added one to my project. So now let me pull that one over. So I'm going to click the attach existing documents button. And I would check the box here and click the save and close button. And then that pulled my document over to post publicly. If I didn't want to attach a document or put a document in my procurement folder or to the project, and I just wanted to attach it at this step, I would click the create a documents button. And it's the same functionality. You go through the same steps that you would do if you were adding it on the documents tab. All right. I'm gonna click the save button. All right. Next, we want to look at our notified supplier tab. And this is the list of suppliers that will be notified of the solicitation. Click on the workflow tab. And so this shows you the workflow. I only have created it so far. So whatever step is the burnt orange, that's the step that you're currently in, right? So if I had approval set up on here, as soon as I click the submit button, if I had approval set up, it would go to the quick quote approver to approve. Next, I'm gonna click on the SWAM tab. So this lists some SWAM information and this will populate once I submit the solicitation. And it updates every 15 minutes. I like to tab back over to the setup tab before I submit and just to review everything before I submit it. So I'm gonna click the save button once again. And submit my solicitation. So I click the submit button. All right. Next, I'll need to click the send button. And this shows the list of suppliers that will be notified. So we have to send the notification out to them. You want to click the send and close button. All right. Next, you get a series of questions. Do you really want to notify the selected suppliers? I do, so I'm gonna click OK. And do you want to open the bidding period at the same time? Now this question right here will populate the begin date. All right, the begin date and time. I'll click OK. All right, and that issued and published my solicitation. We notice here the status changed from draft to open. All right, and it did give you, this is not an error message, this is just an informational message, just telling you to amend the solicitation, please create a new round. So if I needed to amend this, I would simply come to the prepare RFX tab, click the other actions button, and then I would create a new round. Okay. Creating a new lot will create a new solicitation within the project. Right? So that concludes the demo for creating a quick quote. I can quickly show you the public posting page on what that looks like.
And Tracy, would you mind, instead of that, if we, just because we have about 5 minutes remaining, if we go over the questions that are open?
Yes. Okay, so let me stop sharing. All righty. Okay. Just get my screen open here. All right. And one of the questions, let's see here. And what does BPM stand for? Business management process. So if doing a solicitation based on a part number, where do you enter the part number to be visible to the supplier? And let me go back into the system. And while I'm doing that, Felicia, if you want to take some questions while I'm going back over here.
And Felicia, you're on mute.
See if I can cue one up.
Yes, I have been asking, answering the questions all along, while you were talking, but hold on, let me see if there's something.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
The related question from Amanda in our Q&A.
Yes, with the general terms and conditions are not available, but this is something that will be available. It's just, it just will not be available go live for the general terms and conditions. We're just asking agencies to attach their general and special terms and conditions.
And while we're waiting for Tracy to bring up the information about the part number for that question, Mel also has a question.
Yes, I'm reading Mel's question now, and she's saying, will the new EVA have the correct NIGP codes for the self-registered vendors? I asked because per the SBSD and DGS presenters, the NIGP commodity codes aren't always correct. I don't recall anyone saying that the NIGP commodity codes aren't correct. Do you remember anything about that, Tracy?
No.
Yeah, because we're using the actual commodity code list that's provided. The link is provided by NIGP. So
Is it in a testing environment that they're saying it incorrect, or is it incorrect in current EVA?
Malik, Malik is one of my agencies. So Malik, please give me a call after this training. and we'll discuss that.
Yes, if it's in testing, it might just be a testing environment thing, but if it's correct in current EVA, it should be correct
Correct.
in
Yeah.
trying to see if we have a
And
VILT.
Malik, if you're still on there, could you also maybe shoot me, I guess, the code that you're saying is incorrect?
Okay, and since we only have 1 minute remaining, Marsha, we will follow up with you about that part number question, and Burhan will also follow up with you with regards to entering paper responses and how to show that and issue something there as well. I'm sorry we weren't able to get to all of the questions today, but we will certainly follow up with those who have open questions. So
And I don't see the part number field, but you can enter it in the detailed description field if they needed to do that or list additional information.
Excellent.
Mhm.
Thank you so much, Tracy and Felicia, for going through those questions. I know this is the session with the most packed information, so we appreciate it. We're going to skip over the last poll questions and next steps in the interest of time, but thank you so much to our awesome co-trainers who have so many things going on a week before go live and still were willing to do this training, so we appreciate it. And thank you all for attending on this Friday morning. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.